What's up, guys? Iceman here. So, here's my Manazon once again, and I switched the gear up a little bit. I'm going to show you guys what I have going on here. It's a multi-shot Manazon, and it uses Giant Skull and Faith GMB bow, so it has some knockback. It's quite nice. Go check it out. Now, it's important, this is Hell Mode Players 1, which is what I normally play on. So, it's important to note that the knockback, along with Deadly Strike, Crushing Blow, Open Wounds, things like that, if you're using multi-shot, only applies to the center 3 arrows. Whereas if you use something like Strafe, it applies to every single arrow. So as you can see there, it knocks them back. Yeah, it's quite nice. It's very defensive. So Giant Skull is a good helm to use for something like this. Now, her damage is 6,100, so it's a little less than the setup that I had before. But even with that, 6,100 is a pretty decent multi-shot damage. In fact, now it's 6,084 because my battle orders ran out. Or battle command, rather. But check this out. I'll show you the gear. And Faith is very defensive because it resurrects these little hombres here, your little skeleton pack, which can be very helpful. Now, they don't follow you around when you teleport, if you're teleporting. But they do work very well in open areas, like the Chaos Sanctuary, for example, where they just help mitigate a lot of your damage. But check this out. There's a nice blade tail. Let's identify that. Oh, right. I found this last game. In the Chaos Sanctuary, the suit it is. Lightsaber. It's unfortunate. Ceremonial Javelins. And then the rare Blade Talons. Yep. So, let's go to the Chaos Sanctuary real quick and I'll show you the gear. What I like about Enigma, the mobility is really nice, especially when you have a mercenary that you're somewhat reliant on. Now, even more so, I'd be reliant on my mercenary if I were a Wind Force wielding Amazon that needed fanaticism from her mercenary. Now, right now that isn't the case, but still, my mercenary does have pride. The rune word, so it has both concentration aura along with the base might aura that my mercenary possesses. So this is a level 20. Now things can be mixed up a little bit more. I think you can stack like the auras from Last Wish, for example, if you were to give a Frenzy Barb mercenary 2 times Last Wish phase blades or something like that. But it's just crazy expensive. And you still might actually get more damage output from this one. I haven't tested it, but yeah, I might test that. So stay tuned for that. Annie's Visage, Fortitude. Now, with Enigma, you can then put a lot of your stats into something like Dexterity, because of course Enigma gives a ton of strength. So you can really work to be a high dex Zon. I could have even more if I wanted to. If I could allocate a little bit more vitality into dexterity if I wanted, if I were to respec. But here's her gear. Using a Faith Bow, GMB. So with this setup, I need 59 IAS to hit a pretty decent breakpoint in attack speed. And as you can see here, she's at 60%. So my other build that I had a couple videos ago, that one had the 89 IAS breakpoint, which is very nice. But I just wanted to mix things up a little bit, and I decided to settle for the 60 IAS breakpoint. And I'm actually finding this to be very effective, especially the fact that I can have knockback now, which was entirely the point as to why I had to make some sacrifices here. I'll show you how I get that. I mean, you probably know as I've explained, but nonetheless, I'll show you in just a minute. So there's Laying of Hands gloves, and there's Ravenfrost ring, Nos coil for some IS, life leech. This is my only source of life leech. Mantled heal, the mana stolen per hit. War Travs for some damage. I have experimented some with Goal Riders, but I think these might be overall, if you're using multi-shot primarily, I feel like these are a little better. Because as mentioned, your Crushing Blow, Deadly Strike, Open Wounds that you would get from Go Riders, for example, they only apply to the center 3 arrows in your multi-shot. Whereas this added damage applies to every single arrow. And yeah, as you can see there, it's a decent damage boost. See the min and max? It's a decent damage boost. Really unusual amulet, but I'm using it anyway. You could swap this out with High Lords or Cat's Eye, but I'm not going for that final break point, so I just use this. The cast rate, actually, as many of you know, the cast rate for Amazons suck. So in this case, you're helping that just a little bit. I haven't checked the breakpoints, but I have 20 FCR now. And it does help. And then Giant Skull with 2 godly 15/40 jewels in it. And the knockback feature. And then the skills are very easy. You just max multi-shot, and then you max its new synergy now, which is Guided Arrow. You can max Strafe if you want. I do have it on left click here. I decided to max Valkyrie, and then I just put a few points into skills like these. So I have some Pierce, I put a few points into Critical Strike, a few points into Dodge, 2 in fact, I think, and then just a few into these. Or maybe I put 3 into that. Yeah, I put 3 into that. Yeah, nonetheless. It's a pretty good build, dog. So, I mean, I think it's really fast. You see this? Look how fast you can go through here. And you can kill all enemies, basically. I mean, you don't want to try to run Ubers with a build like this. But all enemies meaning regardless of their immunity. I have just a 1-point magic arrow that I use because it converts a lot of damage. Let's see if that, I think that scales per level. 27 to 29. Put 1 more into that. Yeah, but the teleporting is actually, it's a hell of a lot faster now with an FCR amulet. So it's really something to consider. Even though I'm doing less damage than I would with Cat's Eye. You're teleporting just so much faster, so it really helps with your overall speed, I think. It's actually tolerable. But what do you guys think about the damage here? It's, I think it's, I mean, this would be a worthy endeavor if you're looking to get an endgame character that can just kill most things relatively fast. Because it's easy, is the thing. And it's quite, I mean, really, you have such a good offense, it kind of takes care of your defense. As long as you're letting them arrows fly, and you're leeching, it does pretty damn good. And then you can use Strafe in the narrow corridors. I'll use Strafe right here. I don't use it all that much. You don't want to use it if the enemies are all spread out. But if they're kind of in a tight, compact form, you could use some Strafe. Of course, you're doing a little bit more damage with Strafe. In this setup, I'm doing slightly over 9k within the 6k multi-shot. So you are doing more damage with Strafe. And as mentioned, your Deadly Strike, Crushing Blow, Open Wounds, and all that apply to every arrow. For something like a boss, you can use Strafe, is what I'm doing right now. It's actually quite effective. Multi-shot is another option, or Guided Arrow. See what the damage is for Guided Arrow. Similar to Strafe, but you're getting a lot more Strafes out at once. And I don't believe Guided Arrow pierces like it used to. So it used to pierce them and come back and hit them again. But to my understanding, they nerfed that. So it's just, if you have an acceptable attack rating against a boss, for example, you might actually kill him faster using Strafe, which is what I think I did right there, in fact. But now I'll open up the cows, and I'll show you how well this character can do cows. just briefly. Here's something like the Trav. And I don't have the battle orders on right now. But I'll show you it anyway, without the battle orders. So a good strategy wouldn't be to do this, but it would be to go in the corner, like this. Just go to the corner like this and kill shit. See that? Wiped him out pretty damn fast. Yeah, destroys them. I mean, you can go anywhere, man. Look at this, no battle orders. Here, I'll do myself a favor and make a Valkyrie. Battle orders is really primarily just good for the mana. With what I'm doing right now is, see, I'm just barely taking any damage. Here I might take a bit more. See, the resist suck. You can go for max res in a build like this, but you're going to miss out on a lot of luxuries. Like, you probably won't be wearing Enigma. You might be wearing Akira's Guardian, for example, and a Chains of Honor. Or even a Treachery. I wouldn't advise Treachery because you're going to have low HP. So in order to get that Fade procced, you're going to have to take some hits. And in my experience, you often die before you can proc your Fade. So I don't think Treachery is good for this build. If you're going toward the glass cannon method that I like. But yeah, I mean, it's... I'll go to Bell. Let's see how well I can do the Bell waves. Found a nice bone helm here. Something I wouldn't mind finding early on in the ladder reset. Even though you might as well make a lore if you're running Necro, and you could just say, to hell with this helm. Which is unfortunate. I wish they would bump up items like this. I remember when Diablo 2 first came out, this was actually a helm that is kind of fun to find. But then the rune words came about, and you could just make a lore, and it was just better in pretty much all regards. Although on occasion you would put that helm on a mercenary, and I still do that, in fact, when I find it. But yeah, I think they should rework some of the uniques, similarly to what they did in Project Diablo 2, where you actually have some use for the uniques, and you don't just see everyone wearing a spirit sword and a lore helm. And things like that. Yeah, this build can kill Bal okay. I mean, it's just nice, man. You can teleport. You have the benefits of Faith Bow, a ton of AR, ITD, things like that. You have the knockback from Giant Skull. A ton of strength from gear, so you can pretty much put 0 in strength. You get the Giant Skull, you get the Enigma. A lot of damage to demons and undead. One annoyance is how these arrows, they run out. And even when you buy them from the merchant, you have to have them off because it won't just refill them. It just won't let you buy them, which is even more tedious. You have to toss them off, basically, if you want to refill them from the merchants. So just another minor thing that could maybe be fixed. Now here's the final wave, the most difficult. Now I do have a bunch of damage charms on here. Yeah, this character's maxed out pretty much with goodies. I could optimize the specs just a little bit more. And really, I could potentially get a better breakpoint, which might equate to overall higher DPS in terms of attack speed. If I were to use, for example, a Matriarchal Bow of Faith, or even a Great Bow of Faith, I'll have to look into the breakpoints. So that's something to be considered. But as you can see here, I'm at 6084. I'll take away 3 max damage charm. And it adds a good amount of damage. It adds, you know, slightly over 40 damage there to the multi-shot. And then here's the 10 max damage. Look at that. Yep. Adds over 100 damage right there. Yeah, so every little bit counts. Which is why if you min and max with your dex, for example, you could really end up doing... It really ends up counting for a lot, the little bit that you invest. Get strafe back on here. This part is... the build kind of sucks for killing a boss. Like Bal, for example, because Bal has just a ton of physical resistance. So here's his clone. So this build, one of you made mention, I think it was on Discord or in the comments, how you actually ended up testing a boson on the ladder realms, the ladder test realms, and you just did a solo self-bound, and it was a damn good time. It sounds like it really was a spiritual journey in its adventure aspect, because it's a struggle, I think, until you end up finding better gear. There's far better characters for starting a ladder with. You could use the Amazon and just go Charge Strike and Lightning Fury until you eventually find the ability to maybe make a Faith Bow. In my experience, I wouldn't respec until you can make Faith. And then you can start doing some player 1 clears and maybe find better gear. So I wouldn't want to do this unless if I had Faith. But if you're kind of challenging yourself, there are bows like Barizza or Eaglehorn. That might be a good way to try, a good method to attempt for your journey on getting Faith. But let me know what you guys think about that. Become a patron if you want, or a channel member. Appreciate my channel members. Thank you for your support. May your finances be blessed, those who support the Iceman. And let me know what you think about this boson. Peace be with you.